You are now listening to the Purpose Addicts podcast.
You got to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to have the ability to self-assess, and not everybody has the ability to self-assess.
You don't necessarily have to like school to be successful in school. You just have to know how to play the game and finesse it a bit and get through it.
Welcome to the Purpose Addicts podcast. This is a short yet powerful conversation designed to help you do 3 things that can ultimately change the trajectory of your life. 1, discover your purpose. 2, walk in your purpose. And 3, ultimately fulfill your purpose. I am your host, Coach Vic, and I'm joined as always by my lifelong friend, my brother, the educator, Dr. Shane Calhoun.
Oh man, we in for a good one today. Shane, my brother, how you holding up?
What's going on, big dog?
Man, you know, it's the usual, man. We got another dope episode. This time we got somebody joining us, and
Our first guest of the new year.
Our first guest of the new year, new episode, you know, and introducing our audience to somebody we consider a purpose addict. You know, we don't just bring anybody on the show, so that's important. Let me tell the audience who we talking to today. She hails from Baltimore, and she corrected me off camera. Baltimore, Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to anybody who's from there. I heard they got good crab cakes, but she now currently resides in Sunny, California. She is a motivational speaker, an author, a serial entrepreneur over multiple businesses that actually serve the community coast to coast, you know, and it's pretty interesting and pretty dope in terms of what she's doing. Through one of her, I guess, companies and focuses that she always tries to do is she helps inmates escape. And I'm sorry, I had to pause there for a second. She helps inmates escape through their imagination. And I'm going to have her explain exactly what that means. But she has a quote that you came across that you thought was pretty dope, Shane. And I wanted to give you the honor of actually saying what the quote is. Can you share that with our audience, please?
Yeah, it was dope because yesterday I put on social media, you cannot please everyone. Stop trying. But I put the clapping emoji behind it. You cannot please everyone. So stop trying. And the quote on her webpage is, true freedom is not giving a fuck what a human thinks. And I resonate with that greatly. Like, we can't obsess ourselves with what people think. You know how they say sometimes perception is reality?
Yeah.
It's tough when it comes to people, because sometimes even in success, people will try to find problems with you or try to pick at you. Yeah, so it's like, what can you do to make another human happy?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. It'll never be a solution for that. And
exactly.
And I feel like you'll never be free as long as you're looking for validation. Yeah. You know, no one is ever going to think you are as big as you are, or you are as, you know, intelligent or as wealthy, or you're never, ever going to meet the expectations of society. Like, it's never going to happen. So in order to be free, it's like, don't give a fuck what they think. Like, and that goes for everything, you know, walk in every meeting confident, like, be you, be yourself. You know,
what they say, if you live for the applause, you'll die from the booze.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely.
And, you know, and I was gonna put a caveat on that, is like, you can't make everybody happy. The most you can do is try to do right by everybody. Mm-hmm. That's the most you can do. But you will find that it's most people that are like that typically pick and prod to find a fault in another person. Is usually projecting something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you can't.
Yeah. Well, for our audience, you already got a taste of who she is. I'd like you to welcome to our show, Sunni T.Connor, Naturally Sunni. Welcome to the show, Sunni. How you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing amazing. Thank you guys for having me. Like, I'm so freaking excited. So
good.
That's awesome. I can't wait to jump right into this.
Yeah, we're going to do that. You know, for those who are new to our show, we try to bring you an impactful conversation amongst people under the umbrella of purpose addicts, being addicted to pursuing your purpose. And when Sunni and her team reached out to us after finding the show, we said, absolutely, this makes sense. We got to bring you on the show because we want to bring you shared experiences so that we all can learn and elevate. So first thing we do, Sunni, is we go to our segment called What Blew Your Mind? And that's where Shane has some profound thing that he's come across in some strange corner of the world and shares it with us.
Okay.
Shane, what blew your mind, man?
Just doing a lot of observation here. Like, I'll give you the quote first. Well, no, I'll give you the example first. Ever wonder why they say most people that win the lottery, most people that win the lottery are running to money really quick, end up blowing it, or ending right back financially in the situation that they are? Why?
I mean, if you don't know how to handle that amount of money all at once, you probably don't have the systems or the discipline in place to manage it.
And you end up blowing it.
Yeah, I have a different perspective. I think they blow it because they're not rich mentally. So it haven't caught up with their vibration of what it feels like to actually be that person with that kind of money, you know? Yeah. And I think mentally they're not rich in their mind. So they still have that poverty mindset. And so 100%. The money, it equals nothing.
It comes and go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I say that, and I mean, y'all are both kind of in line with me. Success doesn't change you. It actually reveals who you actually are. Mm-hmm. So if you never prepared yourself mentally to handle that level of success or to handle that level of money or that level of finance, when you get it, you probably gonna blow it. Facts out. Like, you know, I tell my kids all the time, like, you don't want to be in a situation where you need to perform in a certain way or you need to meet a certain expectation and you can't. And it's simply because you never tried to go there before. Like if you want to bench 345 pounds, fam, if you never lift 225, you're probably not going to get that 345 one time. So you need to get in there. You need to be pushing that 225. You need to be pushing that 250 because there's going to come a time when you're going to need it and not have it. And it's because you never trained your mind to get it or your mentality to deal with it.
It's all about the preparation leading up to the success. Yes. Think about it. We all want to achieve success. And we have this idea of what it looks like. We know what kind of house we want, what kind of car we want. We know what the feeling's going to feel like. And sometimes we train physically to put ourselves in position, like being in certain circles or a part of certain groups, right? To be prepared for that moment. But if we mentally aren't doing the same thing, if you mentally aren't lifting the weights and training to be in that successful moment, you're going to blow it.
You're going to blow it. Yeah, it just reveals who you are, man. That's all it is, bro.
That's dope. That's dope, man. Listen, let's jump into this, Sunni. We want to learn about your journey and getting to know our guests. We want them to tell their story. And so to help set this off, the motto for our show is live life on purpose. Tell us, in your journey, how have you gone about living life on purpose?
How have I not gone about it? I set every day with an intention. Like, I'm not letting life live me. I'm actually living life. I'm not letting stereotypes. I don't believe in I'm not in the world in the way that everybody see everything, you know? And sometimes when I talk, people say, oh, you talking fairy tales and unrealistic and this and that. You need to be in reality. And I asked them, well, how is your reality? Like, how is that working out for you? You're following society and what you call reality. How is that working out for you? Because I don't live there the majority of the time in my mind. You know, I am creating the reality that I want to live. And that's where I stay. I don't get caught up in trends or, you know, what social media got going on or protests because everyone's jumping on a bandwagon. Like, I am in my mind creating the life that I want to live. And that's where I live at mentally most of the time. So when people say about you need to be more realistic, you need to live in reality more. Well, to me, reality is just something that the majority of humans agreed on. Okay, so if we all agree that this is a book and we want to call that a book in multiple languages, and Spanish is libro. If you want to call that a book, we've all agreed that a good name for that is a book. So that becomes reality. And so the majority of us agreed that we all should go to work and we should work a 9 to 5, you know, and we should get paid for the services. So that is reality. So that's all reality is to me, is a combination of thoughts as humanity that we agree on. It does not mean that they're fact, okay?
Well, we have to
because this don't have to be a book. If a bird flies past this right here, that might not be a book to a bird. A giraffe might not think that that's a book, right? And they're on this planet too. So it's just a combination of things that we agree on. However, I don't live in reality very often, enough to be social, enough to know what's going on, but I'm really on a whole different wavelength, and that really works for me. Like that really, really works for me. I am like a massive manifester. Like I can focus and bring things into my reality because I have read so many books. I have practiced living this life and fully enjoy it. Like to look at it from a different perspective. I heard a few years ago, someone said, you know how everyone used the example of the cup half full. You can look at life like the cup half full or half empty, and that can be your perception. But someone said, I think it was on Tom Bilyeu podcast or something, but he said, what if we look at the cup like it doesn't matter if it's half full or half empty, but I have some more water to fill that motherfucker back up. Like, does it matter if it's half full or half empty? Because life provides you the water to fill the jug back up or fill the cup back up. So we need to tap into that water, that abundance. It's surrounding us. We don't have to live in lack. We don't have to struggle. We don't have to think poor and be poor and always have a problem to solve. Because our mind naturally wants to solve problems all day. And it's just because that's what we've been growing up to do. So sometimes our mind will even create a problem. You'll be having a great day and then they'll be like, well, why did that person look at me like that? Like just creating problems so that we can solve them with our mind, you know? And there's not always a problem. Actually, there's not many problems, actually, because there's always a vibration with a solution. Like it's right there. The cup is not half empty or half full because there's a whole bunch of water. It's a whole ocean out there. So I come from a different perspective and it really, really works in my life. And that's what I want to give to other people. I want to give to them, like, stop Netflixing and chilling, and focus on your mind. Learn the things that really bother you. Understand why you went through certain things in life. And you like, why is that a trigger point? You know, because I have triggers. Sometimes people could say certain words to me, but I come from poverty. I come from really rough situations. I come from a lot of death. You know, living in Baltimore, people die every single day. And I've experienced more funerals than I think that some people would ever go to in a lifetime. So I don't want to be on that side of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
How long have you been out in Cali?
I've been in Cali for almost 3 years. Okay. But I had been out of the inner city for quite a while. I had moved to like the outskirts when I was in Maryland. Yeah. I personally couldn't do it anymore. Like, it's just like, this is such a toxic, I love my city to death. It has some of the best food in the world. And I've been many places, okay? But there's no food like Baltimore. I'm serious. But it's the toxic is so heavy there. It's so heavy.
And that's a question I was kind of thinking about on the way in. Like, I'm imagining you saying the environment was toxic, but that's where all your friends and your family and everything you know is. Like, at what point do you draw the line as a person? And this is just for the room, I guess. Like, I have to stop trying to be a superhero for this, and I have to pull myself away from that toxicity for myself. Where do you draw that line, and how do you get there. And I just kind of went left, but it's on my brain.
Let's go left. For me, I drew that line because I knew I couldn't be happy there. And it was like no other option. It was no other option. I still have a lot of family there, like you said, friends. And my mindset had changed so tremendously that it became unbearable to be
your mindset. In what ways did your mindset change?
Because I started saying, okay, even when I was a child, I would be like, it has to be, I called the inner cities, any inner cities in Chicago or anywhere where there's a lot of violence, and you have this group of people in this bubble. And trust and believe that it's politically set up that way for a reason, okay? And so you have this group of people in a bubble, typically Black people, and there's nowhere to go. Like they're not very familiar outside of that immediate community. Most of them get up, get dressed, hang on the block. Like no one really leaves that area very much, maybe to go to a mall or something, but not really just exploring the city. There's people in Baltimore that haven't even been to certain counties that has amazing things there, right? But it's just like, they literally just stay in that bubble. And so when I was in the bubble, I used to be like, it has to be something on the other side of this wall. It has to be, because I see people laughing. I see people on TV. Like I see people not so angry, so bitter. It has to be something. So I've been trying for a long time, even like as a child, to get over the wall, like to get over. I call it the poverty wall, because when you're stuck in there, everyone makes the same amount of money. Everyone drives the same kind of cars. You got Acras, you got Hondas, every now and then there's a Lexus, or you know what I mean? But it's like, no one is doing severely better than anyone else. And there's no examples of people really doing really, really well. There'll be like maybe when I was younger in the 90s, some big time drug dealers, and they had like money, and they would have like the nicer car with rims on it and stuff like that. But that was it. That was your only example of it's a possibility that more is out there. That was it. So I was searching for more. So that's how I built my mindset, because I was already looking, I wasn't comfortable being broke ever. Right. It never felt good, ever.
I heard Sunni touch on a couple of things, right? She said, when you have these bubbles, there's no room to go. But what she also touched on is that people don't realize that there is room to grow. And I think that's where the line gets drawn, is when you realize that there is room to grow and go away from your current environment. Recently I heard something in a book where it gave me much clarity on perspective. You look at your position, you look at your perspective, you look at your principle, and you look at people. And if you look at the filter in which we process information, your position in life influences your perspective. And then based on your core principle, your core beliefs will determine how you treat people and what you decide to do with your own life. So I think that you draw the line when you finally decide to prioritize yourself and your principles change for the better.
Yeah. And
I have a question.
Both of y'all goes perfect. When my thing is, you get out that toxic situation when you're no longer growing. When that environment is stunning where you're going, you get out of it. But your question, Sunni?
Yeah, my question to you guys are, how do you feel about selfishness? Like what draws the line to oneself? Like making sure oneself is benefiting in the best way possible, and just about in most situations. You know what I mean? So I would love to hear your perspective on being selfish, since you brought that up.
This is gonna sound wild, and I think in the last maybe month and a half, I've come to a conclusion is there has to be seasons, and I put an S on there, plural, where it just has to be about you. Ooh. And it has to be about your goal, period. It's funny you say this, because I was gonna say this on air. I was gonna tell Vic, I'm like, Vic, we're gonna record this today. I'm gonna edit it out so we have an episode for next week. But until these playoffs is over, I can't do no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it has nothing to do, and the other part about this, the people you have around you will understand that. Like, this guy pulled a major coup this week and made a move for us that I absolutely had nothing to do with. Yeah. And I let him tell it when it's time to tell it, but he understands where I'm at. And it's important that the people around you, and I think a lot of us sometimes stay on that wheel of that conformity, or that, like you said earlier when you were saying, people just conform to the norms. We've decided that you have to put yourself behind others. And sometimes you just literally can't. If your goal is that extraordinary, it's not going to make sense to everybody. And, you know, maybe they'll understand after it's accomplished. But I think it's absolutely in seasons now. And as long as it's benefiting you and your team or your brand, or even if it's just benefiting your brand, it is okay to say, listen, right now, this is what I'm doing and this is for me.
Yes.
It'll come back around to you.
Yeah, my daddy has a simple quote that helps me to process the answer to that question. I comes before you in the alphabet every day of the week. Tell me one day.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Say that again.
I comes before you in the alphabet every day of the week. Somebody prove me
smart.
wrong.
I love that.
Right? Tell me one day that I don't come before you. But in that, it is about seasons. It is about taking care of you. They often use the example on the airplane. If an emergency happened, put on your mask first, right? A lot of times people have trouble going and forging ahead by themselves because it suggests that I have to leave everybody I love and care about behind. But what people have failed to grasp a hold of, in my opinion, is that you don't have to leave them behind forever. Sometimes you got to go clear the path to make it easier for those coming after you. That's why I love the poem Bridge Builder. It's my job to make it easier for those coming after me so they don't have the same struggles. So you can be selfish to go forge a path for yourself so that you can open the door for those coming after you, especially if they don't have that growth mindset. A lot of times they need to see that it's safe before they'll go anyway.
Yeah.
And the word that you used earlier was unrealistic. It's unrealistic to the person that can't see it. But if I can see it, it's your problem. It's my problem. I got to go deal with it, not yours.
Yeah. And I agree with both of you about the whole selfish thing, because I've had debates about it. And I look at it this way. I can't give what I don't have anyway. I have to make sure I'm good first. And this is so crazy because I have 2 children. I've always put my kids first, my parents first, this person first, that person first. I can't even put them first anymore. Like, I have to tune in to me because what's going to come out of me is going to be so beneficial for them anyway.
Everybody. Yep.
You know, so once I make sure I'm good first, they're going to get the benefits of me being good first. But if I put them first, now I'm doing it with attitude. Now I'm doing it with, dang, I didn't get to do the things for me I wanted to do today. You know, now you're not getting my best energy. But it's like, if I take care of myself first, it's going to be rewarded to everybody around me anyway. That goes in business relationships, personal, family, you know. I got to always make sure I'm okay first. And so... 100%. And that has came across as selfish for those who didn't understand it when I would say that.
Yeah. The other day, my mom, I don't know, you probably hear this at some point. I was at a game and I guess she had been calling me for a better part of a week. And like, she'll get me. I say, I'll call you back, get me back, whatever. So she finally gets me on the phone and I'm at the game, getting ready for my game. And she says, you act like you're too busy to talk to anybody. She just goes off. And I just sat there and listened. And I said, okay, Mom, everything good? So then a couple of days later, she said, you didn't say anything when I talked to you. I said, yeah, because you was talking that bullshit and I almost cussed you out. But I understood where you was coming from. And if I explained it to you, you probably wouldn't have understood that I'm just in a zone right now. So I just let you have it. And I don't have to be mad at it because, again, you're not going to understand the space I'm in, but I just have to be there. And then when I'm out, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where my phone ring and I see a certain name on it. And if I answer the phone and you start off with girl, that ain't my energy. I'm typically not on that vibe. So if you're a girl, you get ignored sometimes. Like, I'll call you when I'm in the mood to talk to you and make sure everything all right. But if you're calling with gossip or drama, girl, I'm trying to get to this bag. You starting the conversation off like that, I ain't got time for that, you know? So I guess it's like a balance of you choose you.
It is.
I feel like you bringing or anybody who always call with bad news. Like, I'll look at their name on the phone and I'm like, I'm feeling good today.
I can't get that.
I gotta choose me. You might need somebody to talk to, but I know it's somebody else in your contact list you can call that might be on a better vibration to be on that negative energy with you, because I'm not there. So I got to choose me. Like, oh, no, I'm feeling good right now. I can't answer the phone for that person, you know?
And sometimes that energy, it's all about energy. Like, you can have that time with somebody and it could be negative and it can completely steer the direction of where you're going.
Yes.
As opposed to, like, I am convinced, I met with Sabrina a couple of weeks ago. I'm convinced that hour that I spent with them set me up for success for another month. I don't know how, but I'm convinced that just because of that energy that I got from them, those conversations that I had with them, I'm watching like dominoes just fall based on that conversation.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's crazy. That's crazy how, and I mean, that's the whole premise of the show. People take different journeys and end up at the same place, finding that they are falling in love and addicted to their purpose. These shared experiences, like these stories, like, I mean, like the stories you write in your books, you know, Sunni, like you can literally help someone without even trying, just by sharing your story. And Sabrina helped you, her and Richie, you know, shout out to them. Definitely appreciate Sabrina and Richie. They were previous guests on the show. If you haven't checked out their episode, it's so dope. When you talk about a family running business, you know, their daughter is 8. She's 8 years old and she's got her own business, right? At 8 years old. Oh, it's so dope. We'll put it in the show notes which episode Sabrina and Richie were on. But, you know, let's talk about that, Sunni, your books. Like, I saw the titles, I read the descriptions, and I'm just curious, what inspired you to start writing and becoming an author?
I've always been writing since I was like 4 years old. I would do like little quick stories and read them to the class at school and stuff like that. So I was reading very young. Me and words have a real good relationship. Better than me and numbers. I mean, they cool, but me and words, we really got a thing going on. Yeah. And I was really unhappy. This is the truth. Like, and see, I hear people tell their stories and they always just tell like all this good stuff. Like, if you want to be successful, do this, work hard, wake up at 5 a.m. and blah, blah, blah. But like, you got to tell people the real. And the real is I was extremely unhappy. I had been through so many different circumstances in my life that I did not get help for. I never got any therapy. I never went and talked to counselors or any kind of help. Every time something bad happened, I just be like, oh, I got to be strong. I got to be a strong Black woman. And I push it under the rug. And then another thing happened and I push it under the rug, right? And then I pushed so much crap under that rug that one day I was just unhappy. Like, it was hard to get a smile out of me. You know, it was like, what is happening? So I decided, let me go ahead and write that book, you know, that I've always wanted to write. And I wrote it about my life. And it's so raw, okay? I'm talking about sexual encounters. I'm talking about, you know, death, times where someone had got killed right in front of me. Like, the book is so raw. How drugs impacted my life, how other people around me doing drugs, and the situations that put me in as a child. And so I thought if I told my story that it would be like my therapist. Like, I'm releasing this. I'm taking it from under the rug. I'm putting it in this book, and now it's out there. These things happen to me, you know? So now I don't have to keep like hiding it. It happened. And now I'm telling everybody it happened, you know? Yeah. And now I feel good, you know? But my family was like, oh no. Don't you dare say that in the book. And don't you dare talk about that situation and this and that. And I'm like, you know, I have to. It's for me. And I know it's a touchy situation for a lot of the incidents that happen. You know, I experienced some police treating me harshly. And because I grew up in the projects, and one of my houses had got raided, and I was the only one in the house. And the way that the police treated me to be like an 11-year-old girl was like unbelievable. It traumatized me in so many levels, way worse than them kicking the door in. And I've rebuilt my relationship around cops, because I've also been a single mother on the side of the road with a flat at 2 a.m, and a cop came and helped me and my kids. So I learned how not to put them all in a category. They don't all kill people. They don't all, do these things. Some of them literally had a dream. Maybe they were abused when they were young, and they said, I'm gonna grow up and protect people. I'm gonna make sure people never do these things. They're people too. And for the longest time, I hated police, because I thought they all were like those ones that kicked my door in and how they treated me. But over the years, I've built relationships with cops that, I'm like, oh, they're not all in a bubble. There we go with that bubble again. Like, we got to start popping those bubbles. Like, where times have changed. Like, you got to deal with each situation accordingly, Yeah. And so I really just had to release all of that was in me. I didn't have nowhere to put it. Like, where am I going to put all that hurt and pain, right? And so I put it on the paper.
Yeah, you put it in the yeah. That's dope. That's dope. Now, how I read your team's mission about helping inmates. I think you said your mission is to bring awareness to the many inmates who are in prison all over the country who don't have their basic needs, like ways of utilizing their own imagination as they feel trapped. Like, why help those who no longer have their freedom for a particular period of time? Why are you on that mission?
See, that mission just came to me. Actually, it came to me in a dream. And I started doing some research on what was getting people through their time. So I started looking into the inmates that killed themselves, like they couldn't do it. And then I started looking at how many wrongly convicted people that were in jail. And I thought about how many of my friends' fathers were arrested when we were young. And, my father spent some time in jail as well. And so I just thought as a picture, how many broken homes come from this jail system that is predominantly Black, right? And that in itself is something to think about. But what really made me get personal with the inmates is I was talking to this one particular inmate when he came home, and he used to be like a real big time drug dealer. And when he came home, I was doing this program at the Downtown Culture Arts Center in Baltimore. I was doing this program helping the youth, and he heard about me. I had really made a name for myself before I left the city. And he had heard about me. He came down and blah, blah, blah. And we were talking. And he was like, yo, I admire you for being an author. Books is what changed my life. Books is what allowed me to, not really be in the reality of the prison, of what was going on in there and this and that. I would go to my cell and read books for hours and this and that. I don't know what we would do without books. So it just dawned on me. I'm like, okay, I'm an author. They would do without books. I started researching and reaching out to the jails, and most of the books that were in the jails were like missing 5 pages. Like they had been there since ancient history. Like they didn't have good books. And so I was like, wow. So then I started picking up books from like libraries, sending all my books. And I literally just started contacting jail after jail. And I built relationships with wardens, and I just started sending them books. And then they started getting out of jail and reaching out to me, like some of the men, some of the women. And they're like, oh my God, we read your books. It changed my life. I never would. You so raw. I can't believe you told those stories. You know, you told about times when this and that and this and that. And it became a whole thing. Like life just manifested it into a whole thing. And now my assistant, I think we only have 10 prisons in the United States. This is including Hawaii, Alaska, everything. I think we only have 10 prisons that don't have my books. And they just keep saying no. And we just keep going back and forth. Because eventually no's turn into yeses. Yeah. I really wish people could get that and stop giving up so fast, because every no will be a yes eventually. And if it don't become a yes, you'll get knowledge on why it's a no. Well, what's wrong? Why? Like X. Don't just take the no, X. And then make it better. Oh, well, we can't because it's this and it's that. Oh, okay. Well, when I write my next book, it'll be this and that. You know, like take it. People got to learn how to take critique and take it and better yourself. That's how you become better, you know? But I love the prisons. I love the inmates. All of them are not guilty. I've built relationships. They email me. I get like little, letters from them that go to my P.O. box and stuff. And I love the inmates. Like they made a mistake. We all have driven. I know I drove before after having some alcohol. I wasn't intoxicated, but that's a mistake. That's something that could have got me arrested. I've been aggressive before. That was a mistake. Like that aggression could have came out to me physically attacking someone, and they could have hit their head on the table and fell out, and that was attempted murder. Like it's mistakes. We're humans. And so I really have a love for them. And I dealt with some personal family members that were incarcerated. So that brings that love even further.
Yeah, we appreciate you sharing that, because I mean, we all probably are one mistake away from being in a similar position. We can act all high and mighty all we want, but really and truly, we made mistakes that just didn't get caught.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I used to sell weed. Literally.
Whoa.
Like I was the weed girl.
The cops
I can say that now. Because I'm all legit. But I used to be the weed girl. Like, come on.
Honey, stop telling all your business. Shane, can you edit that out? Shane, we want to protect our guests.
No, I'm just joking, but it's in the book, so.
It's in the book, and I write fiction.
It's out there.
Did I mention I write fiction? No.
So what books do you have out? What books are currently out and published?
Yes, I have Damaged Little Girl. That's my first book. That's actually an underground bestseller, and that's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And then I have A Damaged Woman, which is the sequel to A Damaged Little Girl. So pretty much A Damaged Woman, I had to accept all the responsibility. When I was a child, those things happened to me. When I was a woman, I was doing those things to myself, And so I had to deal with that. And then they are my 2 memoirs. And then I have Damien's Secret, which is my first fiction book. And I have Damien's Secret 2. And I have Niña Dañada. Niña Dañada es mi libro en español. So, yes.
That's her Spanish book for those who don't speak Spanish.
I'm sorry. Yes, that's my Spanish book for those who don't speak Spanish, like you said. Yes.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Let's do this. We got some questions that we'd like to ask every guest, kind of rapid fire, if you will, but it allows us and our audience to get to know a little bit more about you. Right?
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Tell us 2 to 3 people that you listen to and why. People that you seek counsel from or previously sought counsel from that you admired, and why?
Okay, I listened to Wayne Dyer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Wayne Dyer, but I listened to Wayne Dyer, and he pretty much practiced the Tao. And the Tao is pretty much letting life flow. Like nothing is being done, nothing is left undone, you know? And it's not a race to get through life. It's not the goal, it's the journey. Everyone think, oh, when I get to this goal, I'm going to be so happy and so fulfilled. But when you get there, it's literally like a 2-minute satisfaction. Like, oh, I did that. And that feels good for like, you know, and now what? What's next? What's next? What's next? And so pretty much Wayne Dyer practices, it's the journey. It's the flow. It's the meeting people along the way. It's the feeling good, treating people good. So I really love listening to him. I also listen to Eric Thomas and a few other motivational speakers. And I love Kyle Cease, and Tom Bilyeu probably would be the number one person that I listen to his episodes like all the time, you know.
Last one?
Tom Bilyeu.
Bilyeu. Okay.
Yeah, Bileu. Yeah, Bileu. And but I read a lot. So I read more than I like listen to audiobooks and stuff. I actually like have a massive collection of books. And so, yeah.
What was this is off topic, but since you brought it up, I'm curious, what was the first book that you fell in love with that you read?
Oh, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Yeah. Because The Power of the Subconscious Mind really taught me that I had two minds. Like I'm consciously and unconsciously. And it really tapped me into the dream world, like when you're sleeping. Because like, think about this. And this always amazed me. When you're asleep and you're walking down the street and you see someone sitting on a stoop, like your mind, your imagination created that whole scene, right? Like, you're asleep though, but your mind literally created everything in a dream. If some random man is chasing you, you've created that. And then it'd be these tall buildings, like you made that in your mind. And I want to tap into that when I'm woke, because everything that's around us, someone created. Like someone created this, and someone created this chair I'm sitting on. These are all ideas that have manifested. And we have that power in us. And if you don't believe it, just look at a dream. Like a dream is, you're making that up as you go. Your mind is so brilliantly intelligent when you're not in the way. Because when you're asleep, your thoughts are not in the way to stop your mind from going to any limit. Like we're here on this planet with unlimited possibilities, right? But when we're woke, we're thinking about bills, marriage, problems, kids. I'll never get this, da, da, da. Like we're draining ourselves with these thoughts. But when you're asleep, you're unconscious. You're almost like unconscious. And so your mind have the power to make anything. And I really love that. So the dream thing I learned on my own by just really analyzing dreams. But Power of the Subconscious Mind really showed me that there's two minds, and one of those minds work really, really good when I get out the way, you know? So I love that. Mm-hmm.
Spoken like a true author.
Thank you. Yes.
Here's a question. I asked you when we first talked, what are you most passionate about, right? And you leaned into your journey up to this point. We all have evolved in our journeys. Mm-hmm. What's one area in your life, in your journey, that you evolved the most?
I would have to say what I've evolved the most will probably be understanding money. Because I didn't understand money. I thought that you only can make money from working for somebody and they pay you for your services. And I've evolved so much with money. Like, money is not what I thought it is. It's energy like everything else. And so it's obtainable like everything else. If I want a car, I can go get a car, you know. If I want this, I can go get that. And so we put money on like this pedestal. Like, yeah. Oh, money is just like, it's like we're always like climbing up, trying to get to the top of the pedestal of money. And it's not what we think it is. It's not what we think it is. It's no better than a sheet of paper. Actually, it is paper. It comes from trees. You see a whole bunch of trees around, it's a whole bunch of money around. That's how I look at it. Right? Yeah, money comes from trees. I see an abundant amount of trees. It's a whole bunch of money out of here. And only 3% is tapping in to the money. And we got to get that number up. Like, at least need to be 10% of humanity that is tapping into the money. Because money do equal freedom in a way. You know, I feel like you can be free inside your mind, but money does allow you to do things that you would like to do. So I've evolved with money. I have a relationship with money. It don't play with me, and it brings its ass back. When I spend it, it comes back. Like, that's what we got going on. We got a whole situation. Like, I'm not your side chick, I'm your main chick. When I spend you, you come back. I'm going to give to people. I'm going to give the foundations. I'm going to spend it in good ways. And you let that train come right on back around. So that's what me and money got going on. But that's the most that I've evolved in this journey of life. I would have to say, yeah.
Yeah, love that. It's like a kid, you tell it to be home before the street light come on.
Yeah.
All right, Sunni. One last question. Getting to know you and getting to know people, I've learned that we tell people things we want them to know, but there's so much behind the scenes and behind the people that you see to their story. And so I like asking this question, and it don't have to be super serious, but what's one thing people can't tell about you just by looking at you? One thing people can't tell about you just by looking at you.
I am extremely silly. Like, I'm a whole fool in this house. I go around here popping people in the back of their neck. Like, I randomly do cartwheels in the living room. Like, I'm a whole silly, annoying mess. Like, seriously, I'm irritating. Like, if the house is quiet, like, I'll come through here with some pots and pans and I'm making some nice, come on, let's get up, let's do this. Like, I'm annoying. So, yes.
So,
all that
note to
serious
self.
stuff we just talked about, but I'm a whole fool. So, yeah, I don't think many people know that side of me, but yes.
Note to self, you're sitting around and it's quiet, Sunni about to pop you across the back of the head, just so you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a possibility. You know, I joke a lot. I play a lot. You know, the lady in the other day in Walmart, she's like, oh, can I jump out of line and go get something real quick? And I'm like, absolutely not. And she was just like, okay, but you know, I just be playing. So I just laughed and she was like, oh, okay, I thought you were serious. But yes, that's part of life. Laughing, joking, having fun. Like, that is my go-to. And I like to have fun.
Awesome. We appreciate you sharing that about you and sharing your story, a little bit about your inspiration and what keeps you going and motivated. What we want you to do now is tell our audience how to connect with you, how to find your books. If they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in touch with Naturally Sunni?
Oh, thank you so much. First, I want to say thank you guys so much for having me. Like, this has been awesome.
Pleasure.
Yeah. So naturallysunni.com has all my books, and it also talks about Books for Time, which is the prison foundation that we mentioned today. And you can always email me at naturallysunnibooks@gmail.com. And my Instagram is Sunni_the author. Don't really get on Facebook too much, but it's Sunni T.Connor on Facebook. And yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm anywhere. And I do have a YouTube channel called Now That's Podcast as well, if you want to check out some of my old episodes.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably noticed that she spells her name Sunni, Sunni. So if
not
you're looking
a Y.
for Naturally Sunni, that's right. Not a Y.
Thank you. Yes, Naturally Sunni with an I.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a dope episode, as always. What we like to do is two things when we close out. We talk about footwork. Shane alluded to this earlier. For our audience, we like to share some of the things that are going on with us because we don't often share. We just do work in the darkness and keep going and keep putting out stuff. So Purpose Addicts podcast has a huge announcement. If you haven't seen it on social media already, we've partnered up with KCBN Media Production Company based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And our podcast will now be featured weekly on that network. You can catch it streaming live on Apple TV, Roku, and all the social media platforms. So it's a dope partnership. We are going to be talking with and connecting with sponsors, and we are growing, the podcast, this show. And truth be told, if you catch this in the middle of a season, you don't know how we got started. Shane and I, this has been a passion project, right? This wasn't something that we were looking to do this with. We just like kicking it. We've been friends for over 20 years, and this is how we connect with one another and we connect with other dope people. So it's awesome that other people have seen that and appreciated that and want to get that out along with our guests. So thank you, KCBN. We look forward to this partnership. It's going to be pretty dope.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Shane, any final thoughts before I close us out on a quote?
Yeah, I got a footwork myself. I meant to plug it last week. BreakerNation.com. If you are a solo artist, not even a solo artist, if you are a music artist, and you have music and you're looking to build your fan base and or get reviews on your music, I strongly recommend the Breaker Nation app. You can go to BreakerNation.com or you can download the app in your app store. I am a reviewer of music on there. So if you upload a song and you want my honest review, shoot me a text or an email and I'll get to it. But there are hundreds of people that's giving you real feedback on your music, and it's some really dope music on there. So just recommend the Breaker Nation app, Breaker Nation. Check it out.
That's what's up. Let's get out of here. Found a quote that was absolutely fitting after having this conversation with Sunni. The quote says, "Be somebody who makes everybody feel like somebody." Be somebody who makes everybody feel like somebody. You got to live life on purpose, and that's how you do it, with great intention, with great purpose. You want people to feel like somebody, because I promise you, if we all can help each other feel just a little bit better, that'll make this place just a little bit more bearable, right? We love you. We appreciate you for rocking with us. Purpose Addicts Podcast. I'm Coach. That's Doc. Our guest, Sunni. We thank you. Live life on purpose. We out.
I'm running full speed on this pavement, with my feet hitting the cracks. when the